Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pick and Roll. This is your NBA betting show on the Board YouTube channel, which is the NBA content division of the Hammer Betting Network. Visit thehammer.bet for all your sports betting content. But if you're in for the NBA stuff, please make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Hit that thumbs up button as well if you enjoy the content and have been enjoying the content so far this season, where the picks on the show have been successful. And yesterday was no different. Only one play to talk about from yesterday, which was the same game parlay involving the Phoenix Suns game. And this might have been the easiest cover of the season. First of all, though, 88-70 record on the year, up 7.5 units, 4.1% ROI. Yesterday, no sweat. Chris Paul covers in the first quarter. Deandre Ayton covers the points in the third quarter. Pips, I'm sure this was even better than expected for yourself.
Yeah, it was working like a charm. They were just going to Deandre Ayton like on every other possession. He was cooking Sabonis the entire game, and yeah, just amazing. So close to our first half cash because
Yeah.
Ayton had 17 points at the halftime, and yeah, just amazing game overall.
So what was it about, like, Chris Paul had 8 assists in the first quarter, and I think he finished with 6. I think it's 16 after 3 quarters. I don't even know what he finished with in this game. How was Chris Paul, like, just curiosity, how is it so easy for him to rack up assists in this game?
It was a couple of breakdowns of the Kings defense, so it was like easy layups and easy like dunks. I think he had 3 assists on layups or dunks, like wide open. And DeAndre Ayton didn't miss, so it's easy. You just throw the ball to DeAndre Ayton at the free throw line, and he makes the shot. You get the assist. It's simple as
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah, I had a
unbelievable
hunch.
shot
Well,
making by DeAndre Ayton.
yeah, we knew there was going to be a good amount of correlation here because obviously feeding Ayton in the post. I don't think we thought there'd be quite as much as this, but obviously we will take that and move on to today, where there are 4 official picks coming your way for today. As we did in one of the previous shows, going to go through all 4 of the official picks before Pips talks about them. Want to remind you guys that this show goes on for like roughly half an hour, sometimes more. By the time we get to the 4th play to talk about it, that line could have moved off of where it is currently. So we're going to give them all out right now, and then we will talk about them again. So first of all, the first play, we are going to the Pacers. A lot of viewers will be happy to know we are betting against the Chicago Bulls today, going with the most popular player prop on this show, Buddy Hield over 2.5 threes, and we're pairing him with Tyrese Halliburton over 7.5 assists, which is minus 115 at DraftKings. I don't always guess correctly on the thumbnails on this show with players being involved. Today I did with Halliburton. Good stuff there. Second play is in the Jazz and Grizzlies game. We have John Morant over 24.5 points. That is, I'm going to guess 25 plus on DraftKings. And we have Colin Sexton over 13.5 points, which is minus 115 at DraftKings. That Sexton one could also be featured in his second batch of player prop numbers rather than just the main batch that you'd see normally. Third play, just a straight one on Brandon Ingram over 25.5 points against his former team, the Los Angeles Lakers. That is minus 111 at FanDuel. Give you a bit of time to see that one, let that one settle in before we move into the 4th play that we have here. Cavaliers at the 76ers, a possible first-round playoff matchup in the Eastern Conference. Man, what a series this could possibly be if they're the 4-5. But Garland over 17.5 points paired with Joel Embiid over 24.5 points. Once again, I imagine that Embiid one could be listed as a 25 plus. So make sure you look through properly. That is minus 120 at DraftKings. So those are the 4 plays. Now we're going to allow Pips to break them all down individually to talk about the match, what he likes, what he likes about these specific plays. Starting with that Bulls and Pacers play going against the Chicago Bulls. Here it is.
So the first one is like we will have this in the discussion part. I'll talk about this precisely this because if you look at the data, this bet doesn't look as great as it looks like in when you just like examine the data a bit more. So we are going with Buddy Hield over threes. I think that's probably the bet we had most on this show, and I don't think we missed once on Buddy Hield lower line of threes. I think he hit like in every game, maybe like 7 out of 8. But we had such a great hit rate on this, and Halliburton over assists. I think this is a great spot, especially if we see Caruso playing. And with DeRozan out, we could see Caruso starting and guarding Taris, and I don't think he will shoot much in that matchup.
Yep.
And I think the ball will go to the corners, to the threes, and we'll see Buddy Hield knocking them out over the season. When he gets 25 or more minutes, he cleared this line in 85% of the games. Tyrese Halliburton coming into this game after 12 assists in the last game, and I expect this to be like heavy Tyrese Halliburton and Hield, some guard pick and rolls, and a lot of shooting from Buddy. He had like amazing run and then poor shooting last game. I think he was 2 for 11. So this is a nice bounce back spot for Hill, best shooter in the entire league this season. And Bulls are the great matchup. They allow the third most spot up threes in the league. Their defense on shooting guard and small forward and threes is like they allow I think third most in the entire league. So this is a perfect matchup for this combo, and I just like bet it so much this season, and I love it.
So I think this is a good segue. Let's just quickly touch on the stats that you were speaking of. You messaged me before the show about the Chicago Bulls, how they're one of the luckiest teams in the NBA in a recent stretch, but they're 4-7. They allow some of the most open 3-point opportunities in the league. Let me pull up the numbers exactly here. Teams shoot 29% against them, with league average is 36, despite the fact that they allow so many good looks. So the Bulls are losing games at a big rate after not making any trades at the deadline, but they are one of the luckiest teams in the league currently. So do you want to elaborate any further on that point?
So how did I get to this data? Because I just looked last I think 15 games. Bull 3 points allowed in the entire league, and I saw Bulls allowing fifth least makes from the 3 point line. I was like, that there's something is wrong here. And I look at the allowed 3 points shots, and they are by allowing by far the worst shooting percentage. But I watched some games, and I know teams are getting great looks from the 3 point line against them, so that didn't match. So I went a bit further and looked into it, and they allowed the sixth most threes in the entire league attempts, and they allow fifth least threes makes. And yeah, that's because teams are shooting 29% against them. 29, and league average is 36. So like on some huge sample size, that's like almost like five to like their defensive rating is like looking great now, but it's really not. They just teams are just shooting under it, and also they are, as you said, 4-7 over the last 11 games, but they beat Hornets, so one of the worst team in the league. Spurs, the worst thing in the league.
Yep.
Portland, one of the worst things in the league, and Orlando Magic on some unbelievable like luck on shooting. They were shooting like 65% from the field in that game. DeMar DeRozan was 5 for 5 from three in that game. So even those games that they won, it was like terrible against terrible teams, and they lost against every decent team. So yeah, these records like looks terrible, and it should be even worse. So that's like amazing about the Bulls. And yeah, just some interesting spot in the data. And also when you do the own research, and like if you see like Bulls being allowing the most threes throughout the entire year, and now you look at the data about last 15 games, and you see them being the top five in like there could be something else. So you need to go on some other sites and check the attempts, check the shooting, and all kinds of numbers. And when you check all this, it you get a bigger picture of what's going on there. So like if I just saw that they allowed the fifth least assist, I would stay away from this bet, but it doesn't make sense because they're allowing so many shots.
So makes sense on that. Let's move into our second play of the day. We're going to we're going to the Memphis Grizzlies as they host the Utah Jazz. We're going John Morant and Colin Sexton this one. What do we have here?
So we are betting John Morant over 24.5 points combined with Sexton over 13.5 points, which is minus 150 at DraftKings. So last game, Utah Jazz, they allowed 30 points to Tyrese Halliburton. Game before that, they allowed 38 points to Jalen Brunson. So like Edwards had like 31 in a blowout. Like every guard had like point guard had amazing games against Utah Jazz, and I was saying that like 15 times over the season on the show.
Yep.
Utah Jazz and defending of the point guards like one of the worst in the league. They actually allowed third most points to point guards. Huge pace, weak defense, and like ton of shots and ton of transition chances, and that's just Ja Morant's game, and he should really cook this one in this game. And the other part is with a trade of Mike Conley. Colin Sexton is getting like way more minutes. He's starting at the point guard and he's playing 30 plus minutes a game. And if you just take a look at the Sexton numbers throughout the season, when he gets the minutes, he's scoring machine. And if you take a look at the games where he played 25 or more minutes, and he should get close to 32, like 30 to 34 minutes tonight. In the games where he played 25 or more minutes, he cleared this line in 86%. And with Dylan Brooks probably on Clarkson, and then focusing on stopping Lauri Markkanen and no Steven Adams to like for a rim protection, I think Colin Sexton with his heavy driving and like attack the rim mindset, he will get plenty to the line. And he will like with those minutes he just killing this line entire season. And Clarkson has a worse matchup. Lauri Markkanen has a worse matchup. So it will be down to Sexton doing some magic in this game.
Yep, good stuff on the second play. Let's move into the third play here. I am under the understanding that this has moved off since we have given it out here. So hopefully you guys got that in when we did provide it here. But the third play is Brandon Ingram against the Los Angeles Lakers over on the points here. What do you like about this one?
So I'll just say, like, out of all the bookmakers, the FanDuel is moving it the like quickest way. So yeah, this is now 26.5 on FanDuel, but it's still 25.5 minus 115. So only just 4 cents higher on Caesars, DraftKings, and BetMGM. So it's like still widely available. So if you guys, you should usually just check and line shop, but this one is still widely available. So Ingram, this one is a very interesting bet because CJ McCollum is obviously questionable for this game, but I like it even if he's playing. But if he's not playing, this could drop to the 24.5 or 25.5 because it will throughout the day it could move to 26.5. But Ingram last 4 games or even 5, 26 against Dallas Mavericks are probably difficult matchup because Dallas is playing great defense. It was in a game where I think Luka Doncic and Kyrie still didn't be a part of that team, so their defense was great. And Brandon Ingram scored 26 points. The next game, Brandon Ingram played against the Los Angeles Lakers, and he had 2 fouls 2 minutes into the game. So he played only 2 minutes in the first quarter, and I think he played entire second. And so he ended up playing 32 minutes, which is 4 minutes less than usual because of the foul trouble. And he scored 35 points. And CJ McCollum was playing that game. So we get the same matchup, probably a bit worse defense with addition of D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. And with that being said, 35 points in shorter minutes, it's like, and there is a thing with Brandon Ingram playing against the Lakers. I know this is kind of narrative thing, like he was playing there and he moved, but with
Yeah,
Brandon Ingram, it's a really not, and I'll show you why. So throughout his career, he has 25% usage, and if you take a look against the Los Angeles Lakers, it's 32. So like
big
he
difference.
just wants to like score against this team. And I saw some games where he was like 25 field goal attempts with everyone healthy on this team, like almost like the highest season usage every season. And yeah, that's something to have in mind. For example, he had like 28% usage last season, 34 against the Lakers, and this season he is just like I watched that game. He was playing like so he had 42% usage in the game against the Lakers this season. Also the highest of the season, and last season it was also the highest of the last season against the Lakers. So there is a thing there. Like it's not just a narrative; it's a real thing. So we are betting on Brandon Ingram. So I can go with a bit further and say like against the Hawks, he had very difficult matchup in with DeAndre Hunter and Campella inside. He still scored 30 points. He against the Cleveland, he scored 25 in one of the most difficult matchups in the entire season. So only 1 point short against the Cavs. Like that's like he like compared to the 35 against the Lakers. And in the last game against Oklahoma City Thunders, another great defense, he scored 34. So he great spot for betting on
Yeah,
Ingram.
yeah, love this spot, and all the movement here is clearly suggesting that it is a very good spot here. If you did manage to snag that 25 and a half, available if you can line shop other places as well if it continues to move off of that one. But love the spot here on Brandon Ingram. All right, let's go into our final play. Go into the fourth official play of the day. Loaded slate here. We're going to the Cavs and we're going to the Sixers to involve Darius Garland and Joel Embiid.
So we are betting like this will be one of probably the most interesting game of the slate, and we have Darius Garland over 70.5 points and Embiid over 24.5 points. And yeah, I'll just go say like Embiid probably not a greatest matchup, but if you take a look over the last 6 games, Embiid against the Cavaliers, he scored 42, 40, 22 in a blowout, 35, 44. So out of the last 6 games, he had 35 or more points in 4 of them, 40 plus points in 3 of them. And the last game, it was a huge blowout. I think Cavs won by 30, and Embiid had only 19 points in a low-scoring game. But that was the game without James Harden, and it's very more difficult to play against Cavaliers, against Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley without James Harden. So Harden always open up things for him, and so that part of the game is pretty clear. And of course, the Embiid line was 33 and a half and 32 and a half, and it's pulled back to 30 and a half because it's a difficult matchup.
Yeah.
So I think with that being said, 25 plus points is yeah, and this is on the 25 plus points on the side. And Darius Garland, I like. Donovan Mitchell didn't have like the great. Donovan Mitchell didn't have great games against the Embiid inside, and he'll get probably the more focus. So he probably gets the Melton cover, and that's difficult cover for Donovan Mitchell, no matter how great he is, and that will like probably get Darius Garland to play against James Harden, and yeah, James just can't keep up with Darius, especially since he will get probably moved off the ball. He will play a lot of dribble handoffs with Jared Allen, and with Embiid being in a drop coverage, but in a zone drop coverage. Garland coming off the screens, probably multiple, like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen screens. He'll like get double screens and get rid of Harden probably on the first one, but he will also have the second one. So there is not a bull anymore. So like yeah, way more easier job for Darius. And Darius is amazing pull-up shooter from the middle, from floater area, from the 3-point line, and with Embiid being in drop zone, he cooked him every game over the last couple of seasons. So I would just say last 5 games against the 76ers, they scored 27, 26, 22, 23, and 21 in a huge blowout with Donovan Mitchell. So last game was 21 in a huge blowout with Donovan Mitchell. And so yeah, 21 and more in the 5 straight against the Embiid inside, and amazing matchup for Darius Garland.
Yeah, I actually have a little piece of info on Garland here statistically that also kind of feels this. Just coincidentally, I have this. But over the last 15 games, Darius Garland has taken 60 pull-up threes, which is ninth most in the league in that span, and he has hit 45% of them. He is just absolutely dialed in from deep right now, especially on these pull-up threes, everywhere from three. So love the spot here. I'm kind of
Darius,
curious. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, Darius is probably one of my top 5 favorite young players in the league. I was huge on him even before he shined, because the way he was like developing and improving season after season was like amazing. And he's a very fun player to watch. He can create for others, like like everyone in the league. Great creator, great pull-up shooter, great from everywhere on the court. And yeah, love Darius Garland.
I'm kind of curious on the Embiid side here on the 24 and a half. It's such a difficult matchup against the Cavs with all these good defenders. Just why do you think he just continues to eat against the Cavs? Why do you think he plays so well against the Cavs despite these tough matchups?
Because they don't double team him. Like
Mm,
some players covers way more in against the great defensive players than they do against the weak defensive players. Because if you have terrible defender on Embiid, you know you need to double him. You know
yeah.
that that guy doesn't have any chance. But if you have Jared Allen, if you had Rudy Gobert, if you had like Bam Adebayo, like anyone, you just know you can just okay, this guy will have ability to stay in front of him. And we all everyone in the league is good when Embiid is settling for mid-range shots. Like you can shoot however you want mid-range shots, we are good with it, as long as you are not having 15 free throws or more a game and like destroying us inside. So I think Jared Allen is a great player to stay in front of him, and I don't think that he needs much help against the Embiid. So I think he will drop back and let him shoot, and yeah, he will like when he will get some free throws, he will get probably a couple of one or two threes, which will be enough for him to score close to 30 points. Embiid is very consistent scorer. If you like if you look at close games, he's almost like certain to score 28 to 40 points every night. But area 28 to 35 points, like very consistent.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as you get higher up in points, you can allow a little bit more variance there. So love that spot, love that information. Little brief thing. Somebody put in the chat here. Doy Eats World puts in side talk. Booker's 2 threes away from beating the Nash Suns record for 3-pointers made. I think we're in an era right now where we're gonna see so many all-time 3-pointers made for teams. Like we're in an area where they're just all gonna get obliterated. Like I don't know who has the record for the Cavs. I mean, maybe it's LeBron, but like I could even see if Garland is there for a long enough time, like just the volume at which these guys are taking shots, it's ridiculous. We're going to see a lot more like that. Speaking of LeBron, we want to talk about his team here. The Los Angeles Lakers are one of the biggest buyers, I'd say, at the NBA trade deadline, but is it going to be enough to get them into the playoffs and satisfy LeBron's hunger to win games and compete at the highest level? So I actually looked at the odds before we went into this. The Lakers are on DraftKings plus 215 to make the playoffs, minus 275 not to make the playoffs. And it'd be pretty catastrophic of the Lakers to not make the playoffs, considering the fact that they did trade away that 2027 first round pick, which I would say has a great likelihood to be very valuable here. They're 26 and 32. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games, and they are in the 13th place, 2.5 games back of the Utah Jazz for 10th. So, Pips, not a ton of games left here, but enough to change course here. Do the Lakers have enough to make the playoffs?
I think I think they will make the play-in, but I don't know about the playoffs. So I can see them catching up on the eighth or ninth or tenth seed, but playoffs you need to win two straight games, and if they are healthy and like on a great run, one of the wins, they can probably beat teams in seventh and eighth place. No one wants to play the Lakers and LeBron James in these playing games,
No.
but I think it will be 50-50 if they get as the lower seed, and that's like a huge gamble. And but like the great thing is the Utah Jazz got rid of some good players, so they could probably drop off during the rest of the season. I am not believer in Portland Trailblazers. Thunders are great, but the loss to Thunders hurts this a lot. That game could actually be very meaningful.
Mhm.
I don't see. It's difficult. Warriors are in the ninth place, and I think they will probably beat between Warriors and Lakers, like 9th, 10th place. I can see Lakers like going to the 10th seed and being behind Warriors, Timberwolves, and Kings. I think I think playing teams will be Kings, Wolves, Warriors, and Lakers. I
Interesting.
think Kings will drop off. They started dropping off.
Wow.
They're 5-5 last 10, and they have the most difficult schedule throughout the entire season to the rest of the season. And yeah, I
It's
watched them last night, and I wasn't like I didn't I wasn't happy with the way Kings played last night. Their defense is just very poor.
Yeah, the Kings are a strange one because they're in third right now. They have 32 wins. They have the same amount of wins as the Suns, so you'd have to expect past them at some point. Same amount of wins as the Clippers, who I don't think you can expect that, but I think it's probable the Clippers go over that. The Mavericks are on 31 wins, and with Kyrie there, I think they will start to make a bit of a push. The Pelicans have 30 wins. Once they get healthy, if they get healthy, I think they can make a bit of a push there. So it could be difficult for the Kings. But from a Lakers perspective, I think the Thunder at some point will be a little bit happy to like fall out of that and prioritize a draft pick. I don't think they'll mind that at least. The Jazz as well, who sold at the deadline, I don't think that'll be a problem for them. The Blazers are a team the Lakers can catch. I think at this point, I could see the Lakers getting themselves into like a 9 or 10 seed. I don't think they'll have enough legs to actually host a playing game. I'm actually interested to see what the chat has to say, what the comments to say. Let us know if you think the Lakers
I'll
will
just
make the playoffs.
I just checked something. Like they are 11-10 over the last 21 games, and they beat Houston 4 times and Spurs 3 times in those 11 wins. So yeah, they are not playing Spurs and Houston throughout the rest of the season. They are not playing like very bad poor teams. So yeah, I think they will drop to the playing spots.
And the recent loss to the Blazers, and that could be significant. As you mentioned, those significant losses here. I kind of want to talk about that was the first game we saw the new cast together. Obviously, things can change here, but contrary to what I thought they would go with, they started Russell, Davis, Troy Brown, who I would imagine would turn into LeBron James when he's healthy, but they also started Hachimura and Schroeder. So I'm not too surprised on Hachimura starting instead of Vanderbilt, but Dennis Schroeder starting when you have Malik Beasley, who actually played really well in this game. I think that's an interesting decision by Darvin Ham. But what do you think is the best starting five for this Lakers team for the rest of the season? Do you think Dennis Schroeder should be involved?
I don't have much problems with Dennis Schroeder being involved because he's a better defender than Malik Beasley.
Fair enough.
I'm okay with Schroeder playing. Like I'm not okay with him starting, but he's playing 36 minutes a night, which is maybe a little too much. But I'm okay with Schroeder starting and play 30 minutes. And my starting five is pretty easy. Like I would say, like D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. And then you have like decent guys off the bench with Hachimura, with Schroeder, with Lonnie Walker. Like that's a decent team that can compete.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be so difficult. It's just if they can stay healthy, which is a massive if for this team. I struggle to bet against LeBron James if he's in the play-in tournament. And I think that if you're Denver or Phoenix, I think more importantly, if you're Denver, I would not want to get the Lakers in the first round. I mean, I don't think the Lakers would win that, but like if I'm Denver, I really, really, really want to make sure I'm getting like Minnesota or Sacramento, if you put them there, or Portland. I do not want to face LeBron and AD in the playoffs. So
And
very interesting going forward.
I will say we get to the playoffs with that team. This team can win against the Denver Nuggets.
They can win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I do like
I think
I'm a
like
fan of the
I would
roster.
say Denver obviously great favorites there, but
Yeah, yeah,
like
for sure.
also yeah, I think they can be like game 7 won't be like huge surprise for me in that series.
It's just it's a test. The Lakers with Westbrook, they had a really rough start to the season. They started 2-8, but they've been above 500 since that point, since that ugly start. So I don't think they're as bad as people make them out to be, but they do still have their problems here. But like you said,
So
I can see them surprising
so
somebody.
if this Lakers team was playing the entire season, they'll make up the playoffs comfortable.
Yeah. So
Yeah, if this team was on like from the start and they didn't have any major injuries, I think they'll be like fourth or third in the West.
yeah, I agree. So again, not a team you want to play in the first round. As far as starting fives from my side, I like this one that Franco has here. This is the one that I would use. I
Yeah,
will
I said the same. I said the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, but I will say admittedly that Vanderbilt didn't look the best next to AD so far, but like it's very small sample size, so we'll have to see on that. But the
The
plus
problem
two
with
fifteen,
this
sorry,
the problem with this team is Vanderbilt and AD can shoot, and LeBron is also not a great shooter. So you have
yeah,
probably three non-shooters on the same team, and that's never
yeah,
that's that's difficult.
yes.
But Malik Beasley and DLO are great shooters, so you just need also adding Hachimura, not non-shooter, adding a Schroeder non-shooter. So yeah.
A lot of non-shooters. It's no wonder, I guess there have been some struggles with this team, but it'll be interesting to see again. Plus 215 to make the playoffs, minus 275 not to. I'm definitely not going to take a minus 275. A plus 215 looks somewhat interesting, but I feel like once you get to the play-in tournament, you could find some. There might be some better price available. What do you think on that?
I just think their schedule is tough.
Yeah,
So like if they had like average schedule, I would be like heavy in favor of plus 215. But they also wins against some great teams this season when they are healthy. So it's like them figuring out. The Portland Blazers loss is like one of the most unbelievable losses in the entire season because the shooting variance was like totally in not favor of the Lakers. I think like they made 23 threes in that game and expected was I think 13 or 14. Like so they
mm,
were like almost 10 threes above expectations. That's 30 points. So
yeah,
I think that one hurts because it was just unlucky. Because if you take a look, go back and watch all the threes scored, I think you'll see like what defense can do better this there. Like out of 23, 20 were great defended great. And you don't count on Tybull wide open threes because you want him to take them. So
yeah.
like he made 4 out of 6 and changed the game. And Damian Lillard Dame time was in the first half where he made like 8 threes in the first half. Like
Yeah, 30 at
and
half.
that's yeah, it's pull up threes. Hands in the face. Like what can you do about it? Like when he
Yeah.
gets hot, you can't do any much. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was funny.
that's the one.
Darwin Ham, Lakers coach, after that game, he was asked about the Lakers defense, and he said like, based on he said he looked at some numbers at halftime, like our defense was great. It's just like these shots are going in. So
Yeah.
yeah, I most of the time the Lakers would do better in that game, but will be interesting to see if they can go over the line for the rest of the season. But that should wrap up the show for today. Any final thoughts on the Lakers before we wrap up?
Nothing that we haven't already said.
All right, so we'll wrap up the show here. Again, we have the 4 plays for you guys for today. Hopefully, you can still get some of these numbers. Hopefully, some of these are still available. But Bulls at Pacers, first play, we're going with Buddy Hield over 2.5 threes, the most popular player in the show, paired with Tyrese Halliburton over 7.5 assists, -115 at DraftKings. The second official play was the Utah Jazz at the Memphis Grizzlies, John Morant over 24.5 points, paired with Colin Sexton over 13.5 points, -115 at DraftKings. Third play, Pelicans at Lakers, Brandon Ingram over 25.5 points, -111 at FanDuel. Brandon Ingram has fared well against his former team. Hopefully more of the same here. And the final play, Cavaliers at 76ers, Darius Garland over 17.5 points, Joel Embiid over 24.5 points, -120 at DraftKings. Yes, one more thing.
I'll just say, obviously we are not on Twitter anymore. So guys, if you are watching this for the first time on YouTube, please subscribe, like. It means a lot to us. We are now pushing with heavy on YouTube and trying to grow our channel, and it will mean a lot to us. And just it takes 5 seconds to just press the like button and to subscribe.
Less than 5 seconds. You take no time out of your day, but it helps us out a lot, as he mentioned. Let's hope these picks cash. We'll be back tomorrow, as we are, as usual, for a weekday around 11:20 a.m. for more from Pick and Roll. Thanks again, everybody.